Greetings. I'm Captain Blake Kameroff, the Senior Defense Counsel at Fort Jackson, and I supervise the Trial Defense Office, also known as TDS. TDS is unique in the Army because our team has the specific responsibility to protect our individual clients and work toward the best possible outcome for our clients. In other words, at TDS, if we have a choice between helping a soldier or helping the Army, our obligation is to help the soldier. We do not work for any commander at Fort Jackson, and when we need to fight back against the command to help a client, then we fight back against the command. Our team is experienced, dedicated, and sincere. We are here for you if you need us. I'm sorry we can't meet in person for this briefing. All across the nation, we're dealing with the impacts of the coronavirus. But I understand that many trainees who are facing administrative separation simply want to go home as quickly as possible, and that's okay. I'm offering this recorded briefing as a way to help you make an informed decision about whether you want to seek one-on-one legal advice or whether you are ready to agree to your separation from the Army. I go out of my way at the beginning of this conversation to assure you that my team and I are here for you if you need us. In no way do I want to discourage you from asking for a one-on-one appointment with TDS. Still, I have to acknowledge that often there is not a lot we can do to stop the administrative separation of a trainee. Let's talk about some general information. And this is not specific legal advice, and I'm not initiating an attorney-client relationship. This is just general information about what happens in the administrative separation process for many trainees at Fort Jackson. You're entitled to a copy of the paperwork concerning your separation action. Please make sure you have a copy of this paperwork in front of you. First, you need to know that an administrative separation action is not a criminal process. Administrative basically means that this is a business process for the Army. The Army is deciding whether to continue to employ you or fire you from the Army. There's an Army regulation that establishes the rules for this employment decision. It's Army Regulation 635-200. Often you'll hear people say something like, hey, he's being chaptered. This is because the Army regulation is divided into chapters, and when the command considers firing a soldier, the command has to find a reason in one of those chapters that allows the Army to separate the soldier. Almost all the trainee separations we see at Fort Jackson are Chapter 11 separations. Chapter 11 describes the reason that the Army might fire a trainee for that trainee's entry-level performance and conduct. This is generally the most appropriate chapter for the command to cite when separating a trainee who is within the first 180 days of continuous active duty or initial active duty training. There are a wide variety of reasons that might cause a command to initiate a separation action under Chapter 11, but usually it involves a commander's assessment that the trainee is not able to pass required training, that the trainee cannot adapt to military culture, or that the trainee has committed some specific act of misconduct. If the reason for the separation action is that the trainee has failed some specific training requirement, then generally the regulation requires that the command must recycle or reassign the trainee at least one time before initiating the separation action. But there are some situations in which the regulation allows the command to waive the recycle requirement. For example, if a trainee has failed 2 consecutive Army physical fitness tests, or if the command determines that the trainee's behavior has been highly disruptive, then the command is not required to recycle the trainee. Frankly, when a trainee asks to have a one-on-one legal consultation with me, often the most I can do is offer to make a phone call to the command team and try to persuade them to recycle the trainee. Or sometimes we help a trainee write a letter to the battalion commander in which the trainee asks for another chance. Sometimes we're able to contest the evidence against the trainee and disprove certain allegations, but this is rare. Again, this isn't a criminal process, it's a business process for the Army, and it is designed to allow your cadre to help the Army decide whether the Army should continue to employ you. If you have questions about your case or want any sort of help trying to stay in the Army, then please consider taking TDS up on our offer to be in your corner. But it's also okay if you're ready to go home. We just want to make sure you make an informed decision. Now, when a trainee is separated under Chapter 11, what else does that mean for the trainee? Generally, the memorandum that the commander signs will mention that a trainee will receive a characterization of service of uncharacterized. Essentially, this means that the trainee does not have enough of a service record for that record to be described as anything else. Maybe you've heard of an honorable discharge, a general discharge, or an other than honorable discharge. Those characterizations are important for soldiers who have served longer in the Army because the characterization has an impact on certain benefits that the soldier might receive after leaving the Army, like health care benefits, education benefits, the VA home loan, etc. Generally, trainees have not served for long enough to be entitled to any of those benefits, so there is no administrative need to give them a characterization of service. If a trainee is ready to go home and that trainee's chapter paperwork says that the command is recommending an uncharacterized separation under Chapter 11, then probably the fastest way to get home is to fill out the election of rights memorandum in a way that indicates the trainee is ready to go home. If the trainee is not ready to go home, or if a trainee's paperwork mentions some other chapter besides Chapter 11, or some other characterization besides uncharacterized, then that trainee likely would benefit from asking to speak with a TDS attorney. So let's talk about how you tell your command what choice you are making. In your packet, there should be a memorandum with a subject line that refers to election of rights. Now, the installation legal office uses templates for these memos, and across brigades, there are some minor differences in the formatting and wording of the templates. Those slight differences aren't important from a legal perspective. It's just that different brigades are using different versions of the template. So again, look for the document that refers to your election of rights. You should see on the page that there are certain options for you to circle, and on the second page, there should be a place for you to sign. If you end up speaking with an attorney, there is also a place for your attorney to sign. Basically, the main decisions you are making right now are whether you want to talk to a TDS attorney, and otherwise, whether you want to submit anything else for your commander's consideration. Some of the things you have to circle on the memo actually aren't options that are available to most trainees. For example, trainees generally don't have the right to have a board of officers consider their case. So a trainee who is ready to go home with an uncharacterized discharge under Chapter 11 would circle that the trainee either does not elect to go before a board or is not entitled to a board. Both options are presented to you. It doesn't matter which one you choose. You just do not have a right to a board. So don't elect to ask for a board. Sometimes the templates are a little bit awkward and they ask the question about a board 2 times. Don't let that throw you off. Just answer the question 2 times. Then the template uses a phrase, consulting counsel. This is your opportunity to request to talk to TDS or decline to talk to TDS. So if you want to talk to a member of the TDS team, then circle that consulting counsel is requested. If you don't want to talk to a member of the TDS team, then circle that consulting counsel is not requested. Then, whatever your decision is about talking to an attorney, you still have the right to submit or not submit other documents and information for your commander to consider. So you would indicate that supporting documents or information is or is not supported herewith. There are a few additional questions about whether you've suffered a traumatic brain injury or made a report concerning a sexual assault. Circle the appropriate answers to those questions, then sign the form. If you circled that you do not want to speak to a TDS attorney, then you will have no further contact with TDS. A TDS paralegal will follow up with your command by providing a letter that confirms you listened to this recording. If you circled that you do want to speak to a TDS attorney, then a TDS paralegal will schedule a one-on-one phone consultation between you and the TDS attorney. The choice whether to talk to a TDS attorney is your choice. Nobody else can make the choice for you. That is, your commander, your first sergeant, your drill sergeants, they cannot prohibit you from speaking to a TDS attorney. Likewise, nobody can force you to initiate an attorney-client relationship if that is not what you want. You should make this decision based on what you think is best for you. And I hope this recording helps you make this initial decision. There are a few other common questions that trainees often ask us at the in-person briefings. How long will it be before I can go home? The short answer is, we don't know. The command is responsible for processing your separation action and arranging everything that needs to happen for you to go home. TDS has no control over this timeline. Will I be able to join the Army again in the future? Again, the short answer is, we don't know. If you'd like to talk to an attorney about your specific situation, we're happy to talk with you. But please understand that usually we can't change what your future recruitment situation will be. For some reasons that a trainee is separated, the current Army policies allow that trainee to come back in the Army after a period. For other reasons, there are different types of waivers that might be necessary. A TDS attorney cannot guarantee that you'll get a waiver. And remember, sometimes the Army gives out more waivers when it needs to increase its numbers, and sometimes the Army gives out fewer waivers when it needs to decrease or limit its recruitment. What about health care as you leave the Army? Trainees will continue to receive access to military medical care up to the date of their separation, so get the help you need now. Generally, trainees are not entitled to continue receiving any military benefits after their separation. Trainees who are separating from the Army should, however, request a copy of their medical record from the medical treatment facility. Do I still have to act like a soldier? Yes. Until you are officially separated from the Army, you are required to be in the right place at the right time in the right uniform with the right attitude. Too many times I've seen trainees get into more trouble while they're waiting around as non-trainers or holdovers. A lot of you will get frustrated and bored during this process. But if you fail to obey orders, if you start trading in contraband, if you have inappropriate relationships, then the command may, and probably will, take harsher adverse action against you. The whole purpose of this briefing is to give you more information about how to look out for yourself, so please, take care of yourself. Although our physical office is currently closed, Fort Jackson TDS is still available by telephone at 803-751-2700.